Today we're going to be looking at two particles or two words in Thai that without them will absolutely cripple your Thai. You won't be able to really speak Thai at all if you don't know how to use these two particles properly. But if you do know how to use them properly, you can exponentially increase your Thai working usable vocabulary, and you can even make up terms, and most people will probably think that they're already existing terms. So what are those words? The first word is kan, and the second word is khwam. Now these two particles, you might notice something interesting about the first one. Kan, it's spelled ko kai, sala a, ro รือ. Now that ro รือat the end is pronounced like an N, kan, but it actually comes from the Sanskrit word kara or kar, which means to do or action. So when you think of that word, kara, and actually in Farsi, in Persian, that word kar actually means to do as well. Kar, chikar mikunim, what work do you do, or what do you do for work? So you use this word kar in Thai, it gets pronounced kan, and think of action. Now, this is important. Even if you do this with your hands now, action, that will get the feeling of what kan does, because kan actually puts action into any word and turns it into the noun, the action noun of that. So almost like the gerund in English, adding ing to a word to turn it into a noun. So for example, if you have the word rak, which is love, kan rak is loving, the action of loving something. So for example, you can say kan rak แมวเป็นสิ่งที่งดงาม Loving cats is a beautiful thing. Okay, the loving of cats, that's the kan rak. Now let's contrast this with the word khwam. Now khwam is a really interesting word, and it has lots of different meanings, all in the genre of I have a set of words which includes khwam, san, เรื่อง but let's just look at khwam. Khwam is, think of it as a noble piece of information, a noble meaning, or some piece of information that has meaning and content. Content's probably a good word for it. So khwam, think of it as a still passive kind of meaning, whereas kan is an action kind of meaning. Both of them are particles to create nouns. So where kan rak, the loving, the action of loving, it turns love into a noun, an action noun. If you say khwam rak, it's almost the ness, N-E-S-S noun that we might add ness in English. It's that form of the noun in Thai. So khwam rak is love. Love is a manly, splendid thing. Khwam rak เป็นสิ่งที่งดงาม So you see the difference. Kan rak, the act of loving. Khwam rak, love in itself. Another example might be to ro is to know. Now if I say kan ro is the knowing of something. Now often you wouldn't really hear kan ru. Normally the colloquial, the spoken way of saying it, you'd say kan rien ru, to learn something, or to learn or know about something. Kan ru is the action of knowing. So การรู้เรื่องนี้เป็นสิ่งที่สำคัญ Knowing this thing, this issue, is something that's very important. But ความรู้ is the knowingness or knowledge. So การรู้ is the action noun, and ความรู้ is the ness, knowingness or knowledge noun. It's the passive sort of just the still noun, whereas kan is the action. Now if you have a look at the word khwam, it actually has several other meanings now, but they all revolve around that the meaning of a passive, noble piece of information or content that has meaning. So for example, you can แจ้งความ Khwam in this case would be a report or something that happened. So แจ้ง means to tell somebody. So แจ้งความ and this is the spoken or the normal phrase if you want to say I'm going to call the police จะแจ้งความ you wouldn't say จะโทรหาตำรวจ it would make sense if you said โทรหาตำรวจ I'm going to phone the police but the normal way you say it in Thai is แจ้งความ ความ might be a case in court. So you could say, or the word kadi is the standard word, but khwam is the issues that revolve around that. So thanai khwam, thanai lawyer, thanai khwam is the normal word for a lawyer or a barrister. So you can see that khwam is this Thai word that's a particle, it's a noun particle used to turn something into the passive ness noun, and kan turns something into an action noun. Now, these can really expand your vocabulary because the word, for example, khwam, you can say you have the word punam. Punam means a leader. Pu, a person, nam, to lead. So, pen punam is a leader. Khwam pen punam, the being of a leader or the essence of being a leader, or that would be leadership, leaderness. Leaderness isn't a word in English, but you get the concept. So khwam pen punam is a leader, or is leadership, where you can say, where that would be contrasted to kan pen punam, being a leader. So you can say การเป็นผู้นำเป็นบทบาทที่สำคัญสำหรับคุณพ่อคุณแม่ทุกคน Being a leader is an important role for every mother and father, or every father and mother. You can see the difference. One is the action, การ the other one is the attribute or the ness noun, ความเป็นผู้นำการเป็นผู้นำ Other words, for example, รับผิดชอบ responsible. So ความรับผิดชอบ is the being responsible. So คนนี้ไม่มีความรับผิดชอบ This person doesn't have any responsible attribute or is not responsible. As contrasted to การรับผิดชอบเรื่องนี้เป็นของคุณ The taking responsibility of this issue is yours. So in that sense, the action of being responsible is wrapped up as a noun and then ของคุณ it's given on to this person or attached to it, it's possessed by that person. So again, we have an action การรับผิดชอบ in contrast to ความรับผิดชอบ I hope that this has clarified the difference between khwam and kan, and now you can go out and start practice making meanings.